Following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're planning on buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here. Yeah, I know he's here.
I can't believe
I
it.
know.
I know. It's
We
like
have Neptune and Poseidon back with
I
us.
missed you so.
I can't tell you how much I miss this crew. It's very crew.
This is so
every time they
nice.
said "and comedian," Tony V would look over and it's like,
He wasn't
That's-
there. We're going to get a cardboard
it's
figure
not.
of you.
Just a cutout.
and you look so good, Tony. You're so relaxed.
He's been somewhere sandy.
and tanned.
I have sand in my suit right now.
Really? It's a different type of sitting.
Sitting, yeah.
You know?
I believe as we speak, I'm cultivating a pearl.
Oh, good. That's nice.
Let us know. Let us know how it comes.
You're doing it for her.
Sure.
You're doing it for her.
Honey, I'm going to have a pearl for you any decade now.
Yeah. I can just keep going to the beach, and eventually something will pop out.
You're happy the studio put in these swivel chairs
We
to
got
help
swivel-
you out,
yeah,
right?
this is great.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that they
Yeah,
swiveled.
it's so much easier
Yeah.
to get out of.
Right.
Now
Oh,
we-
yeah.
Oh.
And then I can go,
Yeah.
hi.
Now you don't have to turn your head.
Hi.
You
Yeah,
just
No,
turn
this
your
is
head.
good.
the
We
whole
can just
ride.
kind of spin around.
Sure.
So when we really want to impress the crowd, we can just spin all the way
Right,
around.
spin
right?
around.
Oh, maybe next week at the opening, we'll all have our backs to
I like that.
everybody.
You know
And
what?
they say our name and we spin.
You know what? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
But what about this guy?
We'll have Artie
What do
back.
you mean out?
We'll have Artie back.
Artie Januario.
From Super Stop and Shop.
So, yeah, I'll be at Super Stop and Shop next Tuesday.
You will.
Next Tuesday.
So, I don't know. I didn't even look at my schedule
So you
yet.
can't come in next Tuesday?
I'm going to call in sick. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Nobody I work with
Didn't get
watches
you-
or listens to this.
Didn't get your shots, so you got to call in sick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were telling us about shots.
I was.
I'm not supposed
Hi,
to.
I'm Artie Januario, by the way.
From
Okay.
Super Stop and Shop.
Stop it.
So we're
The
not supposed
shingle
to,
shots.
All right,
yeah.
tell us
No,
now.
No, the Zostavax one. You don't want to get that.
Now
one.
before we get
That's
What
started,
is the
old one.
no.
Zostavax?
Before we get started, Ryan Carter is going to be our fact checker today.
Does he check
So
the facts?
anything we talk about,
He'll-
he's going to
back-
verify and get
okay.
back to us if everything's true
All
or
right.
not. I just want you to know because
Well,
sometimes you embellish.
What is that? The Snopes or you know?
Yes.
He sniffs it out.
He
and
sniffs it out. Him and Renee Carter, yeah. So anything you throw out right now, he's going to be checking and
So
getting
what
back.
shots are we talking about?
Go ahead.
The shingle shots.
Shingle shots.
You need to get a shingle shot.
You
Yeah,
do.
we
have-
agree to
If
that.
you're over 50. 50
So,
or
so
over.
a healthy 50-year-old and over should have the shingle shot,
Only if
according
you've
to my
had the
doctor.
chicken pox.
Every
if you've
year?
Had the chicken pox.
Yeah.
Every
Rick
year?
had the chicken
I had
pox.
once.
chicken pox a
You
couple
don't-
years
so you
ago.
only have it once over 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you say it's a two-shot.
Yeah, you get two shots, but
Two
it's the
parts.
same
Yeah,
thing.
I've had them.
Which I
But
have.
but what my doctor said
Right.
was that a lot of insurance companies aren't paying for them.
Why?
Come see me. We'll work around that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Do we have to go on the back alley or Super
Well, my
Stop and
bonus
Shop?
is based upon how many shingle shots I
Oh,
get.
so I could go to you and get my free shingle shot?
Yeah, we'll
'Cause
take care of it.
okay.
We're-
Where are you going to be this week
We'll just-
when you're not calling in sick?
I'll be in Somerville tonight.
'Cause you
and
know we're
then,
going down there.
Amesbury.
And should
on
I wear
Thursday.
one of these because you like
And
these
then I'll
type
be in
of
Lynn.
outfits?
Yeah, that's vaccination ready.
Yeah.
That's all ready to go. It's all ready to go.
He loves
That's how he
shoulders.
evaluates
When I
girls.
see that, I always think, wow, I could hit that. No, I don't mean, you know what I mean.
You know, right.
We know exactly what you mean.
It changes as you age. Right. I'm the same way with softball.
Yeah.
I can hit that. I didn't hit it. I didn't do it. Right.
But you're telling me not to get the other shot, right?
That's for
No,
stucco.
that's the frozen one. That one's no good. That's a live virus. You want to get the Shingrix, which is a dead virus.
Okay.
It's a dead virus.
Yeah, so
All right.
you won't no chance of getting the shingles. From
I was
it.
wondering
right.
about
Yeah,
that.
All right.
See what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have to worry about aluminum siding or stucco or anything? or
No,
is it just
no,
the shingles?
tar and gravel.
Tar
You
and
have to
gravel.
wait for those. There's really no shingles involved.
No.
Forget that.
A rubber roof. Yeah.
Do you ever wonder how these guys'
I know
brains
exactly
work?
how they work. Yeah. And how about you, Neptune?
Figure
You
it
got
out, tell me.
something we got going on tomorrow night. You're on
Tomorrow night, Wednesday, is it the 10th?
It's the.
Oh, you're
Ninth?
all over the place, right?
Yeah. This week, I'm all over the place.
It's
It
the
might
eighth.
sound-
You're
It's
Mr.
the 8th.
Ubiquitous. is
Yeah.
Tony V.
Tomorrow is
Tomorrow
the
night,
8th.
I have True TV, 10 p.m., Bobcat Goldthwait's Misfits and Monsters.
Oh.
I'm in an episode about what do you call them? Mermaids.
Yeah.
10 o'clock at night?
10 o'clock at night.
All right.
And I play Neptune, King of the Sea.
Now, let me ask you this:
What
Are all
channel?
mermaids young and thin and beautiful, or
Not in our episode.
okay?
Yeah, I don't know the longevity of mermaids. I don't know how
Yeah,
long
you know what I
mermaids
mean?
live, if they're forever.
Do they go on diets?
But we,
like a,
we shot in a place called Wikiwachi,
Oh,
which
yeah,
bills
Wikiwachi.
they bill itself as the world's longest-running mermaid show.
Oh.
And I had to point out to them, it's the only mermaid show. I mean, if it started last week, it would be the longest.
So
running.
neither one of you are wrong.
No,
right,
none of them.
right,
But there's an actual mermaid show at this place called Wikiwachi, and it takes place all underwater. And the young ladies have hoses, and they stay under for 15 minutes at a time and put on like a aqua dance.
Now, do you go underwater?
I am underwater at some point.
do they give you a hose, too?
I do a fight underwater.
No,
with
this is not in
another guy.
Charlestown, is it?
No, no. If you're underwater in Charlestown, you stay underwater.
You usually attach to cement.
There's no coming up. If you go in, you're staying in.
So when-
but
so when
we
you're
had to
underwater, you're-
choreograph a fight underwater, and we were on a 30-foot hose. This was the freakiest part of the whole thing. So I had a dive partner, and I would take a breath of air off a regulator. They would yank the hose away, and then I would act for as long as I could, and then,
and what was your signal?
this. You touch your lips like, I need air,
Oh, I need a cigar.
Cigar,
What if
right.
they don't
Hard to
cover
keep
you?
them lit. Hard to keep them lit underwater, strangely
That would
enough.
make me nervous.
Yeah.
That they
They
better be paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, they're very safety conscious, and here's the other thing. The only thing that freaked me out, we did the fight in a pool, not in the in the lagoon that
it
you
makes
see.
it look like,
right, but
okay.
they make it look like that. And when we had practiced it. I went for rehearsal and practice, so we had all the signals down, and I was comfortable doing it. But they didn't tell me my feet were going to be stuck in like flip-flop. They had like flip-flops or
Stuck to the bottom of the pool,
so
okay.
you won't rise because you can't have a weight belt on.
Right.
This doesn't sound as safe.
And that's the thing that freaked me out the first time. I had to come up
amazing.
and
I think the
think
whole
about
thing
it.
might be freaky.
Yeah.
But what channel is this
Once
on?
I realized I couldn't on my, I would have to remove my feet and go up. We're only in 20 feet of water, but it's still.
That's way too deep
to
for me.
get up 20 feet
20
is
feet, right.
is
But it's
life or death.
it's a very funny episode. It has a bunch of twists in it. It's very funny, and it comes out of Goldthwait's head. So
I've watched a couple
It's
of the
good.
other episodes. Very funny.
I gotta
I'm
catch
in
that.
another
A lot of
one.
twists
Yeah,
and things.
I'm in another one where I play a newspaper editor from the 70s, and they want to run a guy for president who's a werewolf.
I
He's
saw
a
that one. That
werewolf.
was amazing.
Are you the werewolf?
No, I'm the editor of
that
the newspaper.
actor that's the werewolf. He's in everything.
Keckner. He was in.
He's great.
Yeah, he was in the.
He was
the
in an
news.
episode of Monk too.
Yep.
And he was in Anchorman.
Anchorman, that's
he was
the movie.
The
yeah,
sports
the
guy.
sports guy with
in
the
Anchorman.
very funny.
Bob
And
Katz.
Dave Foley from from the Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a good pedigree. And the
Bob
show's
Katz,
doing
brilliant,
great.
huh?
Yeah, he's a great director.
Everyone
too.
always
It's
thinks
fun
of him
to-
from Police Academy days.
Yeah, but he's morphed. Here's the best part about this episode with Neptune. They had at Wikiwachi when I was in the lagoon, there were manatees. And
Real? Like
yeah,
ro-
like
just
real?
roaming
Like,
around?
yeah, that's where they live, and they're harmless.
Is this Florida?
In
Can I
Florida,
ask?
yeah. It's like in Tampa, out that in the middle somewhere, or going that way. But there were beware of alligator signs all
everywhere.
over the park.
And they
would
mean
like that.
it.
Which I didn't see.
Oh, yeah.
Because my friend and director, Bobcat Goldthwait, removed the beware of alligator signs because he didn't want to freak me out.
There might be some legal ramifications
Right.
to
And
that
it was literally
action.
like a cartoon. After we're done, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we finish. I still got to get the blue paint off me. And as I'm walking down the path, the guy's walking like 6 feet behind me, putting the alligator signs like back on the fence.
Yeah, they were
And they're
smart.
serious about that. That's,
Of course,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
in Florida.
I mean, they
They're
come
not
right up on
screwing
the
around,
road.
right.
When you drive that highway, whatever that highway is
Yeah.
that crosses Florida, they call
Crocodile Alley.
it Crocodile
Yeah.
Alley, and it's actually fenced off. There's like a river
Yeah.
or swamp that runs
Oh,
through.
I didn't know it was
and you
fenced
see
off.
and you see alligators sunning themselves.
Right.
Wow.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
routinely. It's
Oh, yeah.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
I
when
wonder
you-
what SPF they use.
The alligators?
Yeah, you know.
What would you recommend? Any recommendations at all from Super Stop and Shop?
Their skin looks very aged.
Yeah, they need to up it, whatever it is that they use.
And then Thursday night, I'm doing a fundraiser benefit for the Weymouth police officer.
Nice.
Nice.
Michael Chestnut, who's killed in
You
line
guys
of
are all
duty.
great at that. Great doing
We
stuff like
believe in
that. Yeah.
And, Greg Murphy and a couple other people got us involved in that, so we'll do that Thursday. Friday night, I'm at the music circus.
You are
South
going to
Shore.
be exhausted by Saturday morning.
And Saturday night at Giggles.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, you stand,
Sunday,
you
you
stand, you stand
And I'm
the whole
standing
time.
the whole time.
Yeah, I can't get over that.
Aruba was torture.
I saw the videos you sent me.
I had to wear pants.
What?
I had to wear pants from 8:20.
But not closed shoes.
Yes.
No sandals?
Shoes. I think the audience deserves pants and shoes.
Wow.
That's what I give them.
Very
And from
professional. Very
8:20 to 10:05,
What?
I had long pants on.
But you weren't performing that entire time, were you?
No, but you have to glad hand with the people.
okay.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
Because 40 minutes is your limit,
I got
right?
too much.
Yeah.
Tony will send me these little videos, say, I'm so sorry, I'm missing your podcast. And
I'm not having any fun.
not having any fun. You see his hair blowing
You see the
back.
cigar billowing in the background.
You know, it's the windy season, so lighting a cigar is a chore. I don't know if you've ever, you don't know the heartache I have to go through.
I know. It's
You sent me one picture of some lagoon. You said, here's our hotel pool.
The jacuzzi at the Marriott. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous.
So we're going to do a podcast on location.
Sure,
down
live
in
from the
Aruba.
Palapa.
yeah.
Is Ed Sullivan in for us? Is he gonna? We got to
Come
fly
on,
him
bring
down.
Everybody.
Yeah.
The Garofalo
No, I'm
family,
up for
everybody.
it.
It's gonna be a laugh a minute.
Artie, you good? You got some time off from
let me
Super
just
Stop
get
and
my
Shop?
passport.
Yeah.
Soon as we,
Swear to God.
soon
Am
as
I
we
gonna
clear
get
up those
time off?
issues.
You're going. Yeah, it's the show
Okay, I'm
down
not being
here.
left out.
No. I mean,
No.
that's the five of us going down.
Listen, last month I think I heard that we had 16,000 downloads in the month of July.
That's a mistake.
That's a
Maybe it's a mistake they downloaded it, but that's how it's catching.
Yeah,
it's catching on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're doing very well with
think
this.
we're doing very well.
And it's because of our hard-hitting real estate
Yeah.
Information. Speaking of which,
I have an actual question.
okay, let's hear it.
You have to raise your hand.
I have.
Yes, he does.
This is
Yes, he
why
does.
we have the chairs.
Yeah.
We can all swivel and ask
Yeah.
Tony what.
What?
Wait,
No, you're not supposed to
wait,
swivel.
no,
Why,
no.
Tony, is
Let me make it more dramatic. I have a question.
Let's hear it.
Okay, you're passing papers on a certain date.
Yep.
Okay, say it's August 22nd,
Yep.
for example.
I know that date by
Okay,
heart.
right. Somebody says, I want to move my camper onto the property on the 19th.
Yep.
Good thing, bad thing?
You're gonna call Ricotta.
Do you need them to have insurance? Do you have insurance?
Great question.
How does that work?
You've hit them all. Thank
Right.
you, and have
Yeah.
a good
And
day.
who gave you that question?
Thank you for-
And why do you want to know that?
I know exactly.
You know, when you're sitting around on the beach, you think about things.
No, this is probably real life. Want me to answer all those?
yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Probably
If you could.
fire all
I
those
mean,
away.
yeah. I mean,
And let me
these
know
are
if you need me to
legit.
jump in
I know,
there.
no. You can probably jump in too because you see this a lot. First of all, bad move, but
Right.
sometimes you just have to do it.
Right.
So if you do it, you have to come up with what's called an occupancy agreement.
Okay.
Which says if there's any damage while they're using your property
Right.
or occupying, in this case it'd be a use
Yeah,
agreement.
who would be insured for that? Them
well,
or you?
you're good. You're good. So
Yeah, somebody steps off their camper,
Right.
or they're putting the camper on the property,
Right.
and it falls on their foot.
Right.
Whatever.
So you
Or
gotta
a
make
tree
sure-
falls
or a
during
tree
a
falls.
storm or
Right,
Right.
something.
Right.
Yep. So you got to
So
make
you
sure.
have to address all those
Yeah. So
issues.
that buyer is probably closing on the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
And
picked that
you
date
just picked
randomly. Yeah.
I've been working very hard on that
I
closing.
know
too.
you were.
So on the 19th, you would want to make sure that buyer already has their insurance kicked in.
Right.
As opposed to waiting for the closing day.
I see.
And then what happens if something did happen? I think it's an insurance battle. Well, who's going to have to pay for this if there is some sort of issue?
Right.
So with all that, it's a lot of work. So it's usually not a great idea to do.
Right.
But
Well,
if
you know, we run into these problems, Tony, like where the buyer wants to move their stuff into the garage
Right.
before they actually buy the house.
Yeah.
They're opening themselves. The sellers are opening themselves up to liability, and the buyers are also.
This was my point when this thing happened, and I said I would ask the experts, you too, what the actual legality is.
I'm kind of an expert too.
I know. Well, he meant you three. Yes.
No,
but this
listen,
is the thing.
if they go, look, we're moving our camper onto the property, and we need a shingle shot, you'd be the next call I made.
When can we transfer our prescriptions to Super Pop and Shop?
Right.
When can you hit that?
Right.
Exactly. So, but the point is, if it's going to be a deal breaker, you probably have to go through the pros and the cons, just like any decision you have to make in life, right?
We had one the other day where they wanted to bring in same thing. They want to bring all the stuff into the garage.
Yeah.
But then they said, well, we got this big gas grill. Do you mind if we light it up? Well, it's like this is snowballing quickly. So you're lighting up your gas grill.
Right.
Why do they want to light up the gas grill in someone's
it just sounded like, can you not, why
just go out to eat for 2 days.
Really.
Well, it goes back to like the sincerity and your instinct and gut feeling about the person too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
you're right.
This guy's kind
You're
of
right.
shady, or this.
How have they been to deal with?
Guy,
Right.
or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
of course, you don't know.
we don't
them.
know these people.
What I'm saying is, you have a gut instinct sometimes about people.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I would say no. I would say no unless it's going to ruin the entire deal.
All right.
And if they say, if you guys agree to it, then they have to have that occupancy agreement. And they have to have
where would you get
insurance.
one of those?
You might have to call Carter Law Office.
Carter Law Office.
Conveniently located.
Have you guys ever heard
Reading,
have you heard of them?
Massachusetts.
If I know anyone in this situation that I hypothetically put out, I will have my sister call you.
No, you say it's a.
Don't have her call me though.
No, you won't be in the office.
No.
It's a camper.
Whether
they can live in that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're living in it.
Can they talk to
parking
the town and leave it on the street in front of the house?
Yeah, I don't know.
Without being on the property.
We got to look into it and kind of get all the details, and then she can make a decision whether she's going to.
I like these hypotheticals. Do you have any other hypotheticals for your closing coming up on the 22nd?
You mean the closing that might come up on the 22nd?
Yes.
Right. Do the parties? Who has to go to a closing?
The parties probably made arrangements with this hypothetical sister of yours.
Yeah.
And
my sister's not hypothetical.
Well, typically
she's real.
She's real.
We're going on her behalf.
Right.
Hold on.
She might be hypocritical.
Typically, who goes to a closing?
Yeah.
The buyers, anybody that's taking title on the property.
And the attorney.
And the sellers, whoever owns that property.
Or their representative.
Right. Or their representative. Okay. So they all have to be at the closing.
Legal counsel for both sides will be there?
Yes, if the seller is represented by an attorney.
Yeah.
And of course, we always say that I wouldn't go it alone. If you're selling a house, you probably need to get in contact with.
All right, Kathy Holtshouser, let me ask you this question. Can a buyer's attorney represent the sellers and the bank too?
No, they cannot.
No, they can't.
Ding, 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 ding,
Really?
ding, ding.
I get that question all the time.
No, it's a conflict of interest.
To represent two parties.
You cannot represent the buyer and the seller.
Because you have conflicting interests, right?
But you can represent the buyer and the lender that's lending the money.
In
Massachusetts.
Some banks provide their own legal counsel.
Attorney.
Exactly.
But sometimes they'll call us and say, we're sending, my lender is sending you the closing to do. Can you represent me as well in the negotiation of my purchase and sale? And we can do that because the buyer's interest and the lender's interest are the same. They want clean, marketable title to the property.
Right.
So they have a same, but the buyer's and the seller's interests are completely different.
Right. Like when you do if you lowering your interest rate, you're technically selling the house to yourself.
Or back to the bank.
Or back to the bank, and then they
different
give
bank.
Well, it's
very rarely do we have buyers.
Crazy.
I mean, people refinancing bring their own attorneys because in
the
Massachusetts,
bank does it.
Yeah. Is there any right of rescission if they wanted to think about that?
Yeah. Do you know what a right of rescission is, you guys?
Sure, I do. Why don't you just tell the people?
I had a right of rescission when they did the surgery.
No, you don't. You actually don't.
No, that's incision.
Oh, I thought it was.
No. That's a right of incision.
I tell you what, a right of rescission you would never have after a surgery procedure because that means you'd want them to undo the procedure.
Oh.
So a right to rescind
Sure.
Is there a
time limit on that? Like how many
yes,
days?
it's
you can do
3
it?
days.
How long can you live with a scalpel in you?
Well, that
would be the question. Hey, you know when I bend it, I got a sharp pain. Really?
that cuts right through my organs.
Well, it's been 5 days. Well, we can't get
I
it.
can't. It's yours now.
Yeah.
You'll pass that. Oh, I hope not.
So a right to rescind with on a refinance when you already own the property and you go and you do a like a rate and term refinance and you sign the papers, you have the right to cancel that transaction up until 3 days, up until midnight of the third business day.
Okay.
And some people will say when they're buying their house, I have a right to rescind. Well, no, you don't. On a purchase, when you sign on the dotted line, you own the property.
Right.
So,
all right. So let's recap. Don't sign anything until you talk to Carter Law or some reputable, preferably Carter Law, but some reputable. You should have a lawyer, who knows this stuff, right, and then scrutinize everything.
We had a borrower.
Do they have a phone number where you could get a hold of this Carter Law office?
What
I
is
keep
that?
hearing about
781
Yeah.
944
Come on.
9222.
The owner of Studio 21 podcast always says we do this. It's the softest sell of our business of anything he's ever seen.
It's all right. It's working, though, isn't it?
This is the first time we've given the number out in probably 18 shows.
Right up until that very moment, I didn't know you had a phone. I thought you had to drive by.
It doesn't matter if we have a phone.
Hey, Rick, I need an attorney.
You there? You laugh. Our first office was like that. I was on the second floor, and a friend of mine used to work for the DPW in the big trucks.
Yeah.
And he, so I was just starting out. I'm like a 27-year-old attorney. He'd pull right around and beep and just yell at me from the.
Oh no! I got a better one. And then we're going to go back to real estate stories. Shh. So I first started working there, right?
You missed this, right?
And I came from this really well-heeled attorney's office that had been around forever, and the attorney wore
on the wall,
bow tie and had his initials engraved on his cuffs.
I often wonder what the monogram is from.
I know.
You know what I mean when you have your shirt monogram. Did you not know it's your shirt?
Yeah.
But he had like Oriental rugs and antiques and drove a black Porsche. He had been doing this forever and ever, and I called him Mr. Not Mr. Carter, not Rick. You know what I mean? So
I'm leaving.
So when I
do you have any questions?
I don't care. I'm leaving.
Do you have any problems with that?
I gotta get my hair done.
Yeah, no. My oldest.
This doesn't come out on its own.
Doesn't look this pretty by itself. So when I went to work for Rick, right? The first day I walk in, he's like changing. He's vacuuming the office, and I'm like.
Getting rid of evidence.
Vacuuming the office. Henry would
talking about DNA.
Henry would never vacuum the office. So then he's like changing in the closet, and I'm like,
He's come out.
I go, this is just such a weird place, right? So
you can't go to a closing in culottes.
So listen, I'm at my desk working, and all of a sudden I hear this, and he's on the phone with a client explaining things, and he goes, "Oh yeah, can you hold on a second?" And he puts him on hold, and I'm like, what is he doing? He goes out the back door because the was the canteen truck that used to come by.
We were so busy then. I couldn't take 2 minutes. I put the girl on hold. I go, I'll be right
back.
You on hold. Run out to see Marty's canteen truck.
I'm sitting at the desk going, what have I done? What have I done?
Good Lord. We're not in Kansas anymore. It's funny.
So let's get back to a closing just because we're not going off our notes anymore.
He comes back, hey, I got you a hot dog.
He used to, what did
Good
you
news and bad news.
Hey, listen,
Crumb
Kathy,
cakes?
you're doing a bang-up job. Here's a cruller.
He used to
From Marty's caffeine truck.
Oh my God, every day, 2 times a day he'd come by. And Rick would go, can you hold on a second?
Listen, I see you branching out here. Drive-through closings.
Oh, we've thought of it.
You just have a window. People come in. You hand the paperwork.
We've done
go around
Haven't we
the
talked
building.
about that? We were kidding
Yeah.
about some bank was going out of business, and they had the drive-through. We said, well, just come around and get your papers and meet us over the other window.
Drive the other window, and you get a donut, a coffee, and a house.
All right, let's go back to your
Wait,
hypothetical
but wait a
closing.
minute.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
was.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Show
I didn't see your hand up.
Whose show is this anyway?
You're not good with these swivel chairs. You just keep yelling at everyone from both sides now.
It's
So
amazing how stories get interrupted.
I want to tell about at a closing. You should ask all your questions because at the bottom of every form it says, I acknowledge that I have reviewed this document and all information is accurate, right, Rick?
Yep.
And they sign and they sign and they sign and they sign and they shake hands and off they go.
Right.
Then they get copies of all the closing documents
Right.
and they have 100 questions.
Yeah.
And it's
Too
like,
late.
wait a minute, guys. Like,
It's done.
we had a borrower call the other day and said, I have several questions about my figures. He closed
They
five.
weren't even his figures. It was his sister's figures.
He closed 5 days ago. He bought a house from his sister.
There should be a time
And
frame,
he
right?
said
Yeah,
his
yeah.
sister is more than shocked at the amount of money that she didn't receive at the closing. And we're like, was she at the closing? And then I look back and I see all that she
signed everything.
that everything's
Right,
accurate. And I'm
right.
like, too bad, guys. Like, when you sign that, you have reviewed
Is there
this.
any way that they can review those like a few
Oh,
days
absolutely.
before?
Oh, yeah, that's-
You can
all
get a
before the
copy of all
closing.
those.
yeah,
Wait a second.
not
Yeah, yeah.
after the closing.
But shouldn't you have an attorney do that for you?
Yes.
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 Go
So we
over
did it. We
everything.
did it for the brother.
Right.
Who was buying from his sister,
From his
who had
sister.
no representative.
I see.
And the whole deal was he was
I
supposed
see
to.
where,
You
I
see
see
where
where
it's
the
going
wheels
wrong.
came off this. Yeah. Yeah, right after she didn't have a representative.
Exactly,
Don't worry,
exactly.
sweetie. I got
Exactly.
it. I take care of you.
And they were trying to figure out how.
I'm your
But
brother.
she showed up
I'm your
and
brother.
she signed all the paperwork.
right.
And she saw her bottom line of how much money she was going to be getting back in a check. And now she's shocked.
Shocked, I tell you.
And
Gambling
3
in the back
days
room.
later, I was dying laughing. I couldn't stop
Too late.
laughing.
Right.
Not much sympathy with this one.
No, right. But what are you going to do about it now? It's done.
That's what I did.
It's,
Oh,
I said, Ricky, gotta call him.
This is how we nipped in the bud because she wasn't getting as much money because she gave too much of a gift of equity
I
To her
see.
brother.
to the brother.
To the brother.
So now it's
So
between
I
the
said,
brother.
I said to the brother, well, she's not getting as much money as she
'Cause of
thought because you gave.
'Cause of
she
you.
gave you too much.
Right.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's
and
right.
hung up.
Right, right.
Because he must have just realized
Yeah.
how ridiculous it all sounded.
So that took
Right.
care of that. Oh, that makes sense. All
That
right.
makes sense, right? Oh, wait, I benefit from this? End the conversation.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
No,
And
there
he
you go.
owes you a big
Sure.
birthday present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
As a brother.
exactly.
This comes under the little bit pregnant
Yes.
clause. It's too
You
late.
either,
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Right.
you're either one or the other.
You're one or the other. You either own the house or you don't.
I was like just shaking my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had some interesting ones lately, and we're probably running out of time for today's
how about the
show.
lady that has $16 in her bank account?
I was just going to say. So we've figured out,
more
Kathy
than me.
Holtshouser. We were talking today about here's our new idea. We are going to, and thank you for this. We are going to give out for how people have to come in, they have to pay like $1,000, $2,000
Sure.
in closing
Closing
costs.
costs.
We are going to give them a credit card so they can pay for that. Because we know they're going to rack up that credit card and they're going to have to come back in a year and refinance again.
Yeah.
It's like an annuity.
Oh, yeah.
We have, Rick says
that's a
it's
good idea.
Well, we have borrowers that come back. Like, they do their closing with us purchase,
Right.
right? They have $16 in their bank account. They
Yep.
can't afford the
house.
house.
Yep.
I've deemed that, but that's not my job.
that's not-
right?
Yep.
That's none of my business,
No,
and I'm
you don't weigh in
and
on
I don't
that.
want to be judgmental.
Nope.
But then the second time they come
And
back,
you're not judgmental when you read the application, and she peeks every once in a while. But this one girl, and we won't say
she
her
has
name.
50 revolving lines of credit.
We'll just give her a first initial, but Carol had about 25 credit cards on there, and she says, "All right, I'm refinancing and paying all these off." And statistically, people will pay them off, but they'll get them right back.
So 2 years ago, she paid off all her credit cards.
Right.
And then here we
Yeah, I've
are
been in that
2 years later.
So she's living on credit.
Yeah. So what I was thinking I'd do as a little consolation gift to her, parting after the refinance, is give her an application for another credit card. Of
course.
So that she could rock that up so she can come stay with us.
So we would
and
have
see
closings
us
every
again.
6 months with this
And
one.
Rick goes, that's perfect.
It's like a rewards card at the gas station.
Yeah.
You get points. You get a free room in the
Exactly.
mail.
Exactly.
You get a free
Exactly.
Right. Third closing, giant soda.
room. A Big gulp.
Everything.
For every fifth hole we punch.
You get a giant size.
You get another pen.
All right, here's a stat. Maybe I'll have Ryan Carter check this to make sure it's right. Credit cards are now given out at McDonald's. Is this true?
Do we have the same notes?
We do, but we're jumping around because we.
McDonald's are backing their own credit cards?
Yep, but because they figure people spend about 47% more when they have a credit card.
Right, I agree with that.
You agree
Especially
with that?
when it's someone else's.
What's that?
Especially if it's somebody else's card you use.
All right.
But you know what? Can I say something about that, or am I out of time?
No. You've dominated the whole show anyway. Might as well take the last 2 minutes.
It's good to be back. It's like home.
That was like a loving. That's a loving thing.
That's what I mean.
That's right.
It's so comforting.
So
I know. I'm back home again.
Right.
This is
So
awesome.
I have a zero balance on my Capital One card that we've talked about.
This isn't all about
No,
you
no,
bragging.
but hold on.
Is that
but
what's
now
in your
I get.
wallet?
That's right. That's right.
But now I get emails from Capital One that says you should buy plane tickets.
Same thing with me, because I'm all caught up. On my
Yeah.
credit
So,
cards.
but they come up with reasons why I should use my
it,
Capital
of
One
course.
card.
$500 reward,
Yes.
cash reward.
If
you
you
use it again.
if you spend, so it's they have it targeted. They have it like in a tickler. Like Kathy Holtshouser has
it's all
a zero
computed,
balance,
right.
and then they barrage me with ways that I should use my credit card
Right.
again.
And
But this-
statistically,
right.
no one uses all those reward points.
And Stu said, if you use that goddamn card one more time, you are on your own.
You know, this is the beauty of computers. That's all an algorithm.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? You
You're
get
right.
zero balance. It goes.
You're right.
This is what Kathy likes to do. We should suggest
Right.
that and not
Right.
a human has made that decision.
Right.
It's crazy.
But we as humans going, oh no, I'm
right.
offending the credit card people.
and I could get $500 reward
Right.
if I spend $2,000 on my
Because
card.
they make the money on the VIG. That's the only thing
Right.
they make
Right.
the money
Right.
on.
Right.
If you pay off your bill, they're not making anything.
Right.
You know, my mother, who was rose to be a vice president of a bank, used to say it's legalized loan sharking.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine's
Yeah.
a president of a bank or just retired, and he says the way they make their money is people bad checks. So they charge them $35,
Yeah.
and they overdraw, and that's in their business plan for the year.
Yeah, they count on X amount of people.
Yeah. Right.
They count on Rick bouncing 50 checks a year.
Right.
You're an example. You don't bounce any checks.
Not you.
I pay the bills.
Pay the bills, right?
But we've talked about this too, where they actually have the thing where if you bounce like 3 checks, they will not pay the 2 that you could. They will
Exactly.
pay. They will pay
Yes.
the one that makes the other 2 bounce.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And therefore you
Yes.
have 2 marks against you.
Yes.
Yeah. Filthy people.
I know.
All right, how about this? I know we're running out of time. I love this ad, and I just have to say it. Maybe we'll think about it next time. Don't let the credit cards fool you into thinking you have to pay them back.
That's.
Oh, I hear that on the radio.
Infuriating.
That's not right. And
That
I-
is
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll
They don't
accept-
know your whole credit's screwed up for the
Don't
longest time.
let the credit cards fool you
Yeah.
and tell you need to pay your credit cards back.
So where you thinking?
Think about that.
At our closings, we're going to start doing that with mortgages.
With credit cards?
No,
Don't
just in general.
let the lender fool you. You
Don't have to pay
not
this
have
mortgage
to pay
back.
this mortgage back. The first thing we say is, your mortgage says that you have to make your monthly payments.
But don't let them fool you.
But don't let them fool you into thinking you have to. You don't have to do it, and then they'll charge you more.
That's right.
And then guess what they do? Then they foreclose on it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
That's
then they
right.
take it back.
Sure, that's like, why not just roofie everybody at a closing? You know what I mean? And then they wake up and go, no, it's all done. What I don't remember, no, you signed everything.
Oh, we
It's
might have to wrap up on that
Enjoy
one.
your house.
That's a great idea.
is a
Thank
Fantastic
you.
idea.
That's
I'm glad to be back.
You know what we're
That's
going
the
to do
Bill
at the end of
Cosby-
the,
Get us
end of the
Bill
year?
Cosby Realty Corporation.
Maybe he could get us the roofies.
He's going to roofies.
I got some in my pocket right now. Drink up.
I have been drinking up. Is the show over?
Feeling kind of woozy?
I can't remember anything.
You know what we're doing for the end of the year?
I'm
We're
going to
going to
give you a
have
shingle shot when you
we're
pass
going to
out.
have mugs with our favorite slogans. I think we're
really?
going to have to put that one on.
Sure.
What's
Yeah.
mine going to be?
Staycation.
Yours is why
Whatever.
don't you just do
why
it?
don't you do it? I learned that from Christine Hurley.
Mine's just going to say hydrate.
Hydrate. Mine's going to be a staycation souvenir cup.
Nice.
And what's yours going
Mine's
to
gonna
say?
I need underwear. Because you guys, I lose it when I'm with you.
Thanks for joining us here on Real Estate House Party. It's great to have everyone, the A-team back. We have the A-team, Kathy Holtshouser.
781-944-9222.
Yay!
You just found out we had a phone number. Awesome. That's awesome. All
Don't
right.
call me, though.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Wow.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.